Expert Shadrack Gutto says Public Protector Busisiwe Mkhwebane's latest report on President Cyril Ramaphosa should be welcome, as the Constitution requires transparency, accountability and openness. This follows Mkhwebane's announcement yesterday that she found Ramaphosa had deliberately misled Parliament about the 2017 Bosasa donation. The 500,000 rand campaign donation was made to Ramaphosa's son Andile by the CEO of the services company Bosasa, Gavin Watson. Last November, Ramaphosa told Parliament that the money was obtained legally for the services his son provided, but he later said the payment was a donation towards his campaign. Mkhwebane says she has referred money laundering allegations to the NPA to conduct investigations on the matter. In a statement, the presidency has described as unfortunate Mkhwebane's findings, saying the public protector has failed to properly consider his submissions regarding the donation.
Constitution allows for anybody who feels that they have a dispute which can be resolved in law by approaching a court to do so. So the issue of a review is provided for within our legal dispensation, and I think we shouldn't demonize that. It does not indicate a state that is at war with itself. It does not indicate a presidency that has no confidence in the public protector. It simply means that there are issues where we perhaps don't see things the same,
so
and we disagree.
Rule that out at a later stage. I know you're studying the report, but you wouldn't rule it out.
We wouldn't rule it out given the fact that it is provided for in law. So once the president has looked at it and obviously compared it, with the issues that he has raised, and perhaps looked at maybe new issues that she raises in this final report that were not in the Section 79 notice, then it may be that he will take a decision that we take the report on review.
For more on the story, we're now joined on the line by political analyst and a constitutional expert, Professor Shadrack Gutto. A very good morning to you, Professor Gutto. Does the public protector have jurisdiction to investigate the CR17 campaign?
Well, I think this is a very important case, and I'm glad that the president is really going to go to try and challenge it on the basis of the powers of the public protector. To start with, I think we have to start by understanding what the public protector's office is required by the Constitution to do, or the public protector, and that is to be able to investigate and any conduct of state affairs and public administration in any sphere of government, and it is if something is alleged or aligned to be improper. So in this case, is it proper or improper for politicians and political parties in canvassing for elections, really to receive money from anywhere? If that was the case, then it would lead to total destruction of good governance, of open and credible and accountable democracy. And I think all those are provisions within the Constitution. In this particular case, at the point that what the president really in this case is being required to be able to, take a proper appropriate action is that the money was used or was donated to him. He's going around to be able to justify it and say it was sent to his trust bank account and so on, and he didn't know. And the fact that he has admitted that now he knows afterwards that the money was donated to his campaign, I think raises a lot of questions which need to be really clarified, I hope, by the highest court in the country, the Constitutional Court. But we also have to read it in other contexts. The Public Protector Act We have to look at the constitutional provisions are expanded by areas such as funding of political parties. The state pays money, or government pays money, or the taxpayers' money to political parties, given their proportional representation in Parliament. At the time, the President was Deputy President of the country, Deputy President of the ruling party. And the question is, when they get donations, we don't know where they're coming from. It can come from billionaires elsewhere. It can come from governments anywhere in the world. And we will have a very weak state and not credible and lose people's confidence or the citizens' confidence in our electoral system and the way it is governed and who really pays the piper in that case, because these people are just donating. They must have an interest. So I think it is a very useful matter that ought to go forward, but we can't make a judgment. I'm not judging whether the president is right or the public prosecutor is. That ought to be, and the matter, the public protector is only accountable to the National Assembly. And I think that is important. The matter report should go to the National Assembly. Once it has to be dealt with, and the indication will have the remedies being dealt with or not.
Professor, where specifically in law does the requirement lie? Because now there's a conversation about whether this should go to the Ethics Committee, and political parties, especially the DA, saying that there should be an ad hoc committee that is established to investigate this.
Well, in this case, I think it is very difficult for it to go to any particular committee in Parliament. This committee, of course, in dealing with matters in Parliament or in the National Assembly with issues of ethics. That, I think, will be looked at. But here it is basically that the the Deputy President then be able to declare once he was now President under the executive that he had received this money while he was in office as Deputy President. So I think it is one which will help us to understand really how the relationship between political parties, then if the ruling party or not, and the public. But also your question that the DA is saying which committee. I think there is a committee there dealing with the declaration of interest and acting under a law that is the existing members' code.
So where do we separate the personal declarations with the separate political party campaign declarations? Are they all mixed together?
They are definitely not together. This is not political party funding. This is a funding to the president, then as deputy president and of the country. And once elected as president of the country, he then has to declare. You declare as a person as your own campaign fund. Politicians are expected to declare sources of funding of their campaign. And although the campaign was a struggle within the party, the ANC, for leadership, but also it is one which is in the public interest. And I believe that there is definitely a possibility that the president may lose the application in court.
That's an important aspect that you just mentioned at the end there. Just unpack it for us a bit, that you believe he might lose an application at the courts.
I think the prospect of losing is very high, because I think the courts will look at it, particularly in the context of even what the Chief Justice stated sometime early this week about government being looted, corruption, coercive, and so on. And all this, if they are not addressed at the beginning, at the political party funding of political parties and individuals, is one that really causes problems. So I think the matter should go all the way to the Constitutional Court, and the prospect of him losing this is very high.
So you're essentially saying that the Public Protector's findings, that the allegations of money laundering have merit, are correct?
That is something that has to be in her findings. Yes, she's saying there was money laundering in the manner in which this particular donation, and we are talking about this particular donation, there may be other millions of donations, and this particular donation is the one that the Public Protector is saying there may have been, or her findings is that there was money laundering.
It's important that you emphasize that it's this particular finding, because this report has brought on a conversation about looking at every other campaigners financing. And do you think the country has an appetite for such a conversation? Look into who funded the DA, who funded the EFF, who funded the ATM, and so on and so forth.
The debate in public about funding of political parties has been on the cards for quite a long time. It keeps on being debated, then somehow silenced, then again it emerges and keep on emerging. I think that what it does indicate is that the public is interested in knowing. It is at the core of really finding out who is governing. Is it the people who fund political parties or individuals, or really it is a clean government? And I think from that point of view, it is not a new discussion, but it is one that is opening, if you like, the wounds, and they have to be healed.
Professor Gutto, what are the expectations of entities that fund political parties?
Pardon?
What are the expectations of people and entities that fund political parties?
Well, one cannot use this particular report to say that the fundings that were given to other political parties, that there was any fraud involved, or if you like, the people who have donated in the past, that they will be held accountable. But it does indicate, where do we go from here? Do we clean the processes, the law, the procedures? And that is what needs to be clarified. I think people who have been making donations, and some millions and millions to various political parties and individuals, should not be shaken, because it can't be applied retrospectively.
Does it mean anything at all?
Please, can we move towards the conclusion of the discussion? Do you mind? Yes.
Are you rushed, Professor?
I'm just saying, can you please try to finish the interview? I'm doing other things. Yeah.
All right, so we're going to have to let you go then, Professor Shadrack Gutto, the political analyst and an expert at constitutional law, talking to us about the findings of the Public Protector Busisiwe Mkhwebane that she released yesterday on the President, saying that he had misled Parliament. Let's take a break for now.